The parable of the sower is a fundamental biblical narrative found in the synoptic Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. It describes a sower who scatters seeds, which fall on varying types of ground, symbolizing different responses to the message of spiritual growth and salvation. At its core, this parable illustrates the differing receptions to the Word of God, represented by the seeds, and the soil types symbolize the conditions of human hearts. It emphasizes the impact of external and internal factors on spiritual development and growth. This parable's significance lies in its ability to convey the essential truths about spiritual receptivity, commitment, and environmental influences on one's spiritual journey. It serves as a mirror for self-reflection, challenging individuals to consider the state of their own hearts and openness to spiritual teachings. Understanding the parable encourages a deeper awareness of how one's environment and personal mindset can either hinder or nurture spiritual growth. Real-world applications of this parable are evident in various contexts. Firstly, in educational settings, teachers can draw parallels between the types of soil and students' readiness to learn, emphasizing the importance of creating supportive environments for effective learning. Secondly, in community building, leaders can use this parable to stress the importance of cultivating a nurturing and inclusive environment that fosters mutual growth and understanding. These examples underline how the principles of the parable transcend religious teachings and apply to broader aspects of personal and communal development. Supporters of this parable's message often highlight its timeless relevance, advocating for increased introspection and personal accountability in spiritual and moral growth. They argue that the parable encourages individuals to actively seek nourishing environments and cultivate resilience against distractions and negativity. However, challenges and controversies exist surrounding this concept. Some may argue that the deterministic nature of the parable could imply a lack of agency, suggesting people have limited control over their spiritual outcomes. Additionally, the interpretation of spiritual receptivity can vary widely, leading to differing views on the responsibility of the sower versus the soil. The introduction of this parable establishes foundational themes for further exploration in the broader topic of seeds of spiritual growth. It connects to and influences other aspects by providing a framework for understanding how various external and internal factors contribute to spiritual development. By setting the stage for examining personal and collective growth, the parable encourages ongoing dialogue about the challenges of nurturing spirituality within diverse contexts. Understanding the different types of soil is crucial to grasping the deeper meanings embedded in the parable of the sower, where soil symbolizes the varying receptiveness of human hearts to spiritual teachings. In this parable, Jesus describes 4 types of soil: the path, rocky ground, thorns, and good soil, each representing how individuals receive and nurture spiritual truth. The path is where the seeds are quickly snatched away, illustrating those who hear the message but do not understand or retain it. Rocky ground depicts individuals who initially receive the word with joy but have shallow roots, leading them to fall away when challenges arise. The thorns symbolize distractions and worldly concerns that choke spiritual growth, while the good soil represents those who accept the word, understand it, and produce abundant spiritual fruit. This concept is vital because it highlights the diverse responses to spiritual teachings and the factors influencing spiritual growth. It serves as a mirror for self-reflection, urging individuals to cultivate their hearts to be more receptive to positive spiritual influence. For instance, in a real-world context, a person attending motivational seminars may be enthused initially, but without depth in commitment or understanding, may not implement the teachings in their life, akin to seeds on rocky ground. Similarly, someone constantly worried about material wealth may find their spiritual growth stunted, represented by seeds among thorns. Supporters of this idea advocate for intentional spiritual cultivation, arguing that awareness of one's soil type can lead to personal development and a more profound spiritual journey. Critics, however, may challenge the deterministic nature of these types, suggesting that it oversimplifies human complexity and ignores the dynamic nature of personal growth and transformation over time. Moreover, understanding these soil types is closely linked to broader themes of personal responsibility and transformation within the parable. It underscores the role of individuals in preparing their hearts and minds to receive and nurture spiritual truths, influencing how they approach learning and growth in other life areas. By connecting preparation and receptiveness to outcomes, this concept ties into dialogues on free will and the human capacity for change, encouraging a proactive approach to spiritual development. Understanding the different types of soil not only enhances comprehension of the parable itself, but also enriches the broader discourse on growth and self-improvement. The concept of the seed as a symbol of the word, within the context of the parable of the sower, is rooted in the biblical narrative where Jesus uses seeds to represent the word of God. In this parable, seeds are scattered across different types of ground, symbolizing how different individuals receive and process divine teachings or spiritual truths. The seed's potential to grow into a fruitful plant parallels the transformative power of the word when it finds a receptive heart. This symbolism is significant because it underscores the importance of how spiritual teachings are received and nurtured. Just as seeds require the right conditions to germinate and thrive, the word requires an open and receptive mindset to foster spiritual growth and enlightenment. This analogy highlights personal responsibility and the varied outcomes depending on one's openness to spiritual truths. In real-world applications, one might consider educational settings where teachings are imparted. A teacher may plant the seeds of knowledge, but the students' diverse backgrounds and personal circumstances determine how effectively this knowledge takes root. Another example is community outreach programs intended to spread awareness and drive change. These efforts often depend on the community's readiness and willingness to embrace new concepts, akin to how the soil's fertility affects a seed's growth. Support for this idea can be found in the positive reception of the parable by theologians and educators who appreciate its straightforward yet profound message about spiritual receptivity. It serves as a call for introspection, prompting individuals to assess their openness to growth and learning. However, potential challenges or controversies arise when considering the parable from different cultural or religious perspectives. Critics might argue that the analogy simplifies complex human experiences, or that it places undue burden on individuals to be fertile soil without acknowledging structural barriers to spiritual or personal growth. This point connects to other aspects of the main topic by emphasizing the interconnectedness of the sower, the seed, and the soil. In this narrative, the sower represents God or the messenger, and the soil represents the human heart. The interplay between these elements is crucial. The sower's role, the quality of the seed, and the condition of the soil collectively influence the potential for growth. Thus, understanding the seed as a symbol of the word enriches our comprehension of spiritual development and the diverse factors that impact it. In exploring the concept of conditions for spiritual growth, we delve into the essential environments or prerequisites necessary for nurturing spiritual development and maturity, akin to how a seed needs specific conditions to thrive. This idea is rooted in the parable of the sower, where seeds, symbolizing the word of God, flourish or falter depending on the soil they encounter, representing the hearts and minds of individuals. The significance of understanding these conditions is paramount, as it underscores the factors that enable individuals to internalize spiritual teachings, grow in faith, and ultimately bear fruit in their lives. Two vivid, real-world applications can illustrate this point. Firstly, consider a community-centric place of worship that fosters a supportive atmosphere through regular gatherings, mentorship, and open dialogue. Such an environment encourages spiritual growth by providing individuals the space to explore, question, and deepen their beliefs in a nurturing setting. Secondly, personal spiritual practices like meditation, prayer, or journaling can serve as fertile ground for growth. These practices help individuals cultivate an inner landscape receptive to spiritual insights, offering a direct, personal dimension to spiritual development. Support for these conditions can be found in various philosophical and religious traditions, which emphasize environments conducive to reflection, community, and personal discipline. Many spiritual leaders argue that spiritual growth is most achievable within supportive communities that encourage openness and accountability, as well as through personal practices that cultivate mindfulness and introspection. However, potential challenges arise in the disparate interpretations of what constitutes ideal conditions. Some might argue for a traditional approach with structured norms, while others advocate for an individualized path that allows for a more personal exploration of spirituality. Controversies can also stem from the rigidity of certain practices which may stifle rather than foster growth, highlighting the need for balance. The concept of conditions for spiritual growth interconnects with other aspects of the main topic by acting as a foundational premise. Without recognizing and nurturing these conditions, the seeds of spiritual teachings may struggle to take root and flourish, much like in the parable. This understanding informs how communities and individuals approach spiritual development, influencing everything from educational programs to personal spiritual practices. Ultimately, recognizing and cultivating these conditions is essential for fostering a vibrant, dynamic spiritual journey that manifests in personal and communal transformation.